Hello, this is Steve from Vito's Leatherworks. Today's project is this Louis Vuitton handbag. This is a Speedy 30. Now, for those of you who don't know what the 30 means, 30 meaning is the size. They measure it from, from the zipper all the way around to the other side, which is 30 inches. This is the larger of the Speedies. They make different sizes of these. Customer request was basically she wants to bring it back to life again. We're going to take it all apart, replace all the leather on it, clean it up, and reassemble it, and give it some new life. And I think once it gets done, it'll be fairly new. We're going to also take it in a little bit because the corners are a little bit worn out. Once we disassemble it, we're going to cut off about 1/4 of an inch on each side. We'll kind of make it a little bit narrower, not much, just so we can tuck those worn out corners in, that once it gets stitched up, you won't tell that it was there. All right, so let's get started. Well, y'all know how we got to start. All right, well, we find that. We're going to use that stone that one of the customers sent. I'm probably doing something wrong. I'm sure I'll hear it in the comments. We've got the Ripper. So this bag was from 1992, made in France. I mean, for being over 30 years old, it's in pretty good shape. Of course, the leather trim here, if you don't condition the leather over time, it's just going to dry. And most people really don't take care of their bags like that. They just use it and think that it's going to last forever. Once in a while, it could use some moisturizing to kind of make it look better. Let's start disassembling. We're going to try to salvage these rivets, so we're going to reuse them again. All right, let's try it. Sometimes you get really lucky. Basically, you just have to come underneath and pry it. Put some pressure between the bottom and the top snap and kind of twist it off. And sometimes you get unlucky that it might break. Just have to keep at it. It should come off. And this one is in still pretty good shape. The top one. Let's take a look. See? You can still use that. Now the top and bottom rivets are basically have the LV insignia on them. And if you can't salvage the top, sometimes you can salvage the bottom. And you can reuse that. You got to flatten that down a little bit, hammer that down, flatten it, so it can insert in the new part. But overall, I mean, this is still in good shape. We can still use that, so it'll match what it was. That's where the date code is. SP is the code for Made in France. First number and the third number are the weeks in the year. And the second and the fourth number are the dates, 1992. Now you can find this online. You just put in date codes for LV bags and it'll give you all the numbers for you. It's kind of cool how they got it all deciphered and to let you guys know where your handbags are made and how old they are. We're going to remove the binding first. This is a fabric piece. Basically, they put that on the edges to hide all the rough edges. And that's all that's for. Doesn't really act as structural. It just covers the raw details of the fabric and the leather trim that's on there. We're going to replace that. We'll put a new one on there. Now what I always like to do, I always like to mark my center of the bag and put some guidelines around the sides, because when you have two pieces on the sides of the bag and you get to assemble everything back, if they're twisted a little bit, it's not going to look good at all. So let's just do rough mark here. One on the main body and one on the side piece. Okay, we know the center here, obviously. That's the center where the zipper is. We don't really need to mark that, but you can do some marks on the sides like that. That way, when you stitch everything back up, those marks need to line up, or else it's not going to look right. Okay. Usually, the manufacturer has little dimples on the edges of the fabric, but I'd still like to make the marks just to kind of put my mind at ease, knowing that once it gets reassembled, I'll have everything back together where it was. All right, let's continue. That's one of the corners there. So when we cut off a little bit and restitch it, the stitch is going to be past that damaged area, and it'll be tucked in like this, and you won't tell that it was damaged. So just a little bit, just trim it off the side on both sides. That way it's even. Voila! That's all, folks. And it takes care of the damaged corners. We'll do the same on this side. Now, as far as the exterior, you can use like a mild detergent to wipe the surface down. And then if you have some white marks, this is notorious to get friction marks on there, right? You can use a little bit of maybe rubbing alcohol on the Q-tip to kind of rub across that white mark. If it's not too damaged, it should come off. The surface is pretty indestructible. Even acetone, if you're using acetone, doesn't really affect too much of it, but you can't really focus on one spot and rub it, and not expect something to happen to the pattern. So you got to be careful. You can't overdo it. All right, let's continue. All right, so we've got our leather cut out. These are for the handles. These are for the chaps. Side tabs. The zipper tab. Inside pocket trim. There's 2 of those. This is going to be our piping. Now we can skive this, make it thin, so we can fold it over. There's nothing inside the piping. Some of them have a rubber piece inside, to like a little tube to make it fat, but this one doesn't. Now, if we skive it too thin, then it's just going to be too thin. But we need to skive it to fold it over so it can kind of relax at this shape. So how do we do that? All right, let me show you. All right, so we've got our bell skiver. We've got a little shoelace attached right here, which is going to put pressure on the leather piece and open up a channel when skiving, just like this. Like that. So you can fold that over. It'll be a nice crisp line like that. Now you got to make some adjustments where this channel is in the middle of that. It's a little difficult to run the camera on my chest and see what I'm doing, but you get the idea. So we'll make some adjustments. We'll run that right in the center of that strap, fold that over, and that'll be our piping. All right, let's continue. All right, now we get to reassemble the bag. Now our first stitch is going to be the center, securing it to the center of the bag there. Just kind of put a couple of stitches to hold it in place. Make sure it's centered. Okay. Now you come to the bottom center of the bag. Put a little notch there, marked it. There's the little notch there. Line that up. Start stitching. As you come around here, this notched area should line up with that notched area. And everything is nice and centered now. All right, so let's take a look and see what we have. Everything looks pretty good, huh? Except for this shit here. You guys see that? Unfortunately, as I was stitching it, the stitch went off the piping and it cut right through. And there is no fixing that. It's got to be replaced. So I got to take the side piece out, literally undo everything, and then take the piping out and redo it over again. Unfortunately, there's no way I could leave it like that. No way. It's a $1,200 job. I don't care if it was a $200 job. I'm not going to leave it like that. All right, let's continue. You know, sometimes things just don't go according to plan. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't happen sometimes. Like this for example, which is no good. Just didn't talk to me, you know? So we're gonna have to do that over. It happens sometimes. I mean, you know, you have your best intention of doing something, and when it gets done, it just doesn't work. So you start over. It's okay. Shit happens, they say. All right, let's continue. Oh, so how are you today? Give me 1 second. So Louis Vuitton does a silly thing here with the threads. They wrap it around the rivet, and once the rivet gets hammered down, it secures it down. We're going to do the same thing because we're silly like they are. Now on the stitching here, I start off right there so I can have a nice straight line. So once I start stitching, I come around to this point, I undo these two, and then I continue to the center where we have all 4 threads join at the bottom. on the rivet, we always want Louis Vuitton, like this, Louis on top. That way it's just like it's supposed to be. All right, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. All right, welcome back. We're done with another project. I think it turned out pretty good. Fairly new bag now. It's in pretty good shape overall as far as the body of it goes. The age is from 92, I think, or 95, we said. And it was pretty soft and flexible. Usually the older these get, sometimes they get stiff and brittle, but this one was pretty good shape. All right, well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed, please do so. Thumbs up, give me a comment, share. And if you guys have any questions about a job, please email me, bedos@yahoo.com, bedos@yahoo.com. And please include a picture with it. Just don't email me say, hey man, do you fix bags? We do. Just email me some pictures. That way I can get an idea of what you have and I can give you some options. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you guys again on the next project. Take care.